only the third time this season Golden State lost at Oracle Arena after falling 97-90 to the Grizzlies last night. Curry struggled shooting, making only 7 of 19 shots, including 2 of 11 from behind the arc. The series is now even at 1 game apiece, heading back to Memphis for games 3 and 4.
There's been obviously a huge spotlight on myself and our team the last couple of days, and you don't run from it at all. You enjoy the process and the experiences, but it'll be nice to kind of just get back to the grind of trying to win a playoff series, and that's our only focus.
All right, so Steph Curry last night after the loss. Stephen A., how surprised were you that the Warriors lost?
I was a little surprised, but not tremendously surprised. I mean, it was MVP night. He was a bit distracted, meaning Steph Curry only shot like 7 for 19. The Splash Brothers combined shooting 13 for 34. That's certainly not what we're accustomed to seeing from them, these sharpshooters, these marksmen. But the Memphis Grizzlies deserve a boatload of credit. Opening tap, I watched this game skip from start to finish. Opening tap, Zach Randolph came out there, was instantly physical. And Mike Conley, who's gone game 1, going the final 2 games of Memphis's first-round series after having that nasty left eye injury that required surgery. This guy showed up and played. I mean, he had like 9 points in his first 6 minutes of action on the court last night. And you got to keep in mind, and Skip, you know this just as well as me because Tony Allen is a friend of the show. We've got mad respect for this brother. He's a rough rider, and he goes out there. He doesn't get steamrolled over. He doesn't get punked. He doesn't back down to anybody. And I remember hearing on the court, and I'm not quoting them verbatim because I don't remember every syllable, but something along the lines of Mike Conley screaming at him, first team all defense. That's first team all defender. You know, because Tony Allen comes at you knowing that his responsibility is to shut you down. I'm not just looking at the 19 points that Steph Curry was limited to. I'm looking at the 19 shots. I'm looking at 36% shooting from the field for a guy named Steph Curry, who shot 48% from the field during the regular season and 44% from three-point range. He hit 2 of 11 three-pointers last night. Tony Allen and those boys and Mike Conley were all over him and Klay Thompson. They flat out balled. And it's going to be really interesting to see how Golden State responds. Because here's the thing. Now that you don't have to concentrate on the MVP and all of this other stuff, and Steph Curry makes a valid point with that, the flip side to this is this, Skip. The Splash Brothers, the catalyst for the Golden State Warriors, the Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Yep.
The catalyst for the Memphis Grizzlies is Mike Conley and Tony Allen. We know Marcus Gasol and Zach Randolph and what they do in the low post. They're not going to get put down by anybody. A matter of fact, let's be real. They need to get the edge over Andrew Bogut, David Lee, Maurice Spates, not so much Draymond Green, because you know I love that brother. But I'm just saying to you that it's about the Splash Brothers against Conley and Tony Allen. And Conley and Tony Allen this is not about who outscores. It's about Conley and Tony Allen dictating terms and pace. If you struggle to score, and you struggle to score from the perimeter, and they are in your face all night long, and they're making you start your offense further away from the basket, and it's not that easier to get around screens and stuff like that, you are inhibited. So it's going to be real interesting. Memphis just made this a series last night and put the basketball world on notice. Not so fast. Y'all still have us to deal with.
I hear everything you just said. I wasn't that surprised by what happened last night, and I also watched it to the last dribble because I thought in the fourth quarter, because of what Golden State had done at New Orleans in Game 4, a 20-point comeback in the fourth quarter, I just thought Steph might finally find the range and figure it out. And in the fourth quarter, Steph from the three-point line went 0 for 4. It was the wrong place at the wrong time for the home team last night. And you and I have covered many nights in which MVPs have been awarded. And I've seen this happen so many times when this MVP, Steph Curry, very deserving, but he was so drained and so distracted by this great moment in his life. And then I think he felt a little undue pressure on this night to live up to his new MVP award on the very night that Mike Conley made his courageous return to the Grizzlies. And Tony Allen took it as a challenge, as he said before the game. And he wasn't paying disrespect, I think, to the new MVP, Steph Curry. But he basically said, nothing I ain't ever seen before. He actually used a triple negative, and I can't remember how to say it exactly. But he was saying, it's nothing that special, nothing I haven't seen before. And again, as you say, Stephen A., Tony Allen is the roughest writer. He took it as a challenge, no disrespect, but he guarded Klay some, he guarded Steph some, Mike Conley guarded Steph some, and they both did a hellacious job on those two shooters. And as we often have talked about on this show, Stephen A., you and I, you live and you die by that beautiful three-point shot. And last night, they pretty much died by it, but it had a whole lot to do with Memphis. The defense Memphis played to hold Golden State to 90 at home is just unbelievable. To force Golden State into, this is the first time at home all year, they had more turnovers than they had assists. That speaks volumes of the Tony Allen-led defense. So I think it's game on, series on. It's going to be a battle. I know Steph Curry will snap out of it and take a deep breath and play better at Memphis in Game 3. But it was just too much because think of where he came from to get that MVP.
I always say this. Remember when he was on the show in Houston?
I do.
And he wasn't even an all-star.
He wasn't an all-star, and remember, he's having terrible ankle issues.
I never thought he could be healthy.
Remember, no one recruited him out of high school in Charlotte, certainly not North Carolina. He winds up at Davidson, had to stay for 3 years, not 1 or 2, 3 years, and came from that through the ankle injuries to MVP. He deserved to have a night.
He deserved it.
Listen, the brother's special. There's no question about it. But Tony Allen reminds you that there are two sides to playing basketball. You got the offense, he plays defense. Mike Conley is as steady and as disciplined as they come. It's going to be interesting.
Warriors Grizzlies Game 3, Saturday, 8 Eastern in Memphis. The team split the 2 games played in Memphis during the regular season, so let's see how this all works out. Someone says it's going to be a battle. You say it's going to be interesting. Up next, I'm excited about this. It's a heartfelt tribute for our beloved colleague, Stuart Scott, The Gesture, after the break. Stick around. You don't want to miss it.
First Take is presented by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And in part by M&M's. Movies are better with M. And True Biotics, a daily probiotic from the nutrition experts at 1 a day.
Well, you may have been watching Inside the NBA last night and noticed studio host Ernie Johnson was not there. He was at the Sports Emmys along with some of our colleagues. He was nominated for Best Studio Host, as well as our former colleague, the late Stuart Scott. Ernie won the award, but when he did, he said, as for this, there's only one place this belongs. That's the mantle of Stuart Scott's house. He then called up his daughters, Taylor and Sydney, and asked them to receive the reward on behalf of their father. It was really a touching moment. And then he went on to talk about his relationship with Stuart Scott and how much he cared about him. Last night, you may have heard some of his colleagues, Shaq, Chuck, Kenny, all say that that's the type of guy Ernie Johnson is, a true class act. It was extremely emotional, as we saw from the video. Stephen A., did you want to react to that?
Ernie Johnson is a special man. Obviously, his battle, we know about his battle with cancer, and he's just he's an incredible studio host. He's a man that I've had the pleasure of meeting and talking to on several occasions. But whatever he is as a professional, we've always known him to be even better as a gentleman, as a man, as a true gentleman in this industry. And that's why it was great to hear Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny Smith acknowledge who Ernie is and what he stands for. And Mike Golick and Mike Greenberg said it best this morning. If you know Ernie Johnson at all, there's nothing about what he did that surprises you. Stuart Scott loved him. And anybody that knows anything about this business loves Ernie Johnson because he's a special man. And on behalf of the ESPN family, we should all appreciate what he did yesterday, because as great as he is, Stuart Scott was as well, and we miss him tremendously.
I can only echo everything you just said. Ernie Johnson, classy man, classy gesture. He's great at his job, great at life, has had his own health issues and can certainly appreciate Stuart Scott's lengthy struggle. And it was a beautiful moment, and it only made me sit back once again, as you did, Stephen A., and miss Stuart Scott even more.
We had several of our colleagues there honoring Stuart Scott. There was a tribute for him. Mike Tirico, Jay Harris, Sage Steele, Keith Olbermann, Susie Kober, Hannah Storm among those. And from my understanding, it was a very special night. It was a good night to celebrate someone that we all love and care about. With that, we will close our show. We obviously still miss and love you so much, Stu. Catch you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Have a good evening, everyone. Stephen A., how surprised were you that the Warriors lost?
I was a little surprised, but not tremendously surprised. I mean, it was MVP night. He was a bit distracted, meaning Steph Curry. Only shot like 7 for 19. The Splash Brothers combined shooting 13 for 34. That's certainly not what we're accustomed to seeing from them, these sharp.
On myself and our team the last couple of days, and you don't run from it at all. You enjoy the process and the experiences, but it'll be nice to kind of just get back to the grind of trying to win a playoff series, and that's our only focus.
All right, so Steph Curry last night after the loss.
That nasty left eye injury that required surgery, this guy showed up and played. I mean, he had like 9 points in his first 6 minutes of action on the court last night. And you got to keep in mind, and Skip, you know this just as well as me because Tony Allen is a friend of the show. We've got mad respect for this brother. He's a rough rider. Shooters, these marksmen. But the Memphis Grizzlies deserve a boatload of credit. Opening tap. I watched this game, Skip, from start to finish. Opening tap. Zach Randolph came out there, was instantly physical. And Mike Conley, who's gone game one, going the final 2 games of Memphis's first round series after having.
For only the third time this season, Golden State lost at Oracle Arena after falling 97-90 to the Grizzlies last night. Curry struggled shooting, making only 7 of 19 shots, including 2 of 11 from behind the arc. The series is now even at 1 game apiece, heading back to Memphis for games 3 and 4.
And obviously a huge spotlight